Hi, I'm Trent Chapman with Short Sale Genius, and I'm going to share with you today some techniques that we use when a file has taken longer than 90 days to process. Short sales are very notorious for taking a long time to do. Many people make the joke that they should be called long sales because they take forever. Now, the reason that short sales typically take forever is because we don't push hard enough on the bank. The banks want to do short sales faster. Unfortunately, their employees don't. And employees don't actually move the process along very smoothly, and the processes within the bank are honestly broken and not working too well. So in reality, it's our job as agents to negotiate with the bank and push them in the right direction so that our client has the best outcome possible. If we leave it up to a bank, the short sale will take 4 to 6 months to approve, and you will lose plenty of buyers in that time frame. So how do you get a bank to push the file forward if it's been in process for 60 to 90 days and it still has not received an approval, or at least been submitted for approval? One of the tactics that we use when we're negotiating with a bank and they have not submitted for approval is we base it off of their internal guidelines. Now, you're probably saying right now, well, I don't know the bank's internal guidelines, so how am I going to tell them to push on a file when I don't know the guidelines? Just as a rule of thumb, if it's taken more than 90 days, somewhere along the line, they've dropped the ball, unless, of course, you were the one that was supposed to give them paperwork or documentation, and you took a month or two to get it to them. Now, in most cases, they'll close out the file if you take a month to get them documentation. They'll give you a few days to a week at best. However, sometimes an agent can be the reason for the delay in the process. But let's just assume in this case, or this scenario, that you're 90 days into the short sale process, they've done their BPO, they've received all the documentation they've asked for from the seller, as well as the offer and the HUD, and now you're just waiting for them to approve the file. If it's at 90 days, most likely they took too long to either do the review of the short sale, review of the BPO value, and reconcile the value in-house. And so at this point, now you have a reason to go to someone within the bank of higher authority and explain to them, look, I appreciate all that's been done so far on the file. Unfortunately, I'm in the position of losing a buyer because they've been waiting around for 90 days now, and it seems like the file's been stalled out. Can you please verify the file is moving forward and is in line for management to review and approve of the short sale offer? Now, if you're stuck in an earlier time frame in the process, let's just say that the BPO has been ordered, you've sent all the documentation in, and you still haven't heard anything back from a negotiator, or they may be asking for more documentation even though you sent it multiple times, then I would use that as a reason to also go to someone of higher authority, explain to them, look, I've been working this short sale now for 90 days, here's what's happened. I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble, I just want to accelerate the process since we've been stuck and it seems like we've lost a lot of time due to these things that have happened along the way. Now, this is a reasonable request. You're not being rude or not being belligerent and yelling at them, and you're not trying to make a scene. You're simply asking for help in pushing the file forward. Now, what you can do to help the file to where it moves forward quickly from the beginning is a different topic. So let's take a step back and say you're starting a short sale from right now. It's a brand new file. You've got 2 mortgages, 2 different banks, which obviously are the most fun to deal with and take the longest. But with these 2 lenders, you're going to start your submission process the day you get the file. A lot of people assume that you need to wait till you get an offer, which is true. The banks will request an offer, but go ahead and submit the file with all the financials and everything complete from day one. When they come back to you and ask for an offer, hopefully within a week or 2, by the time they've actually gone through the file, you'll have an offer that you can submit with a HUD. And by this point, you've actually saved a week or 2 of processing time frame because you're not waiting until you have a full offer and the offer and the HUD completely done before you actually submit the file. Now, for a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll submit the authorization and claim to have submitted the file the same day, but in reality, they won't submit the file for a week or 2 until they get an offer. But they'll call as if they submitted it multiple times and they're waiting for the bank to check it in. What this does is it creates notes in the file explaining that the file had been faxed over several times, and finally, when you do get an offer, you can call up and say, look, where can I email this over? I just lost a buyer, but I have a new buyer. I want to email the file or fax it in to where I get priority service. It's been so long, and if something's not working, is there another way to submit the file? Now, if you have notes in the file, this will accelerate your submission process a little bit, but don't guarantee that it's going to actually accelerate the process completely. So in some cases, it'll just give you notes in the file so that when you do have to go back and talk to someone of higher authority 30, 60 days, 90 days down the road, you'll actually have a reason to call them saying, look, I started the file on this date. For some reason, it took 2 to 3 weeks to get the file in before it was actually received and checked in. Now, the second step along the way is obviously you're going to negotiate with both lenders at the same time. A lot of times, as I mentioned in another video, the first and second may not want to start negotiations until one or the other has given approval. Most likely, it's the second lender who's going to say, well, until you have something to offer from the first lender, there's no reason to send us a short sale package. And this is often going to be the case. However, you want to let them know and give them any authorization form that you need to, so that when the time comes, you can quickly discuss the terms with them and submit the file that they need. Now, the third step along this way is once you've got the file submitted, you've already tried to start the file with the second lien and found out if they will accept it or not. The third step along the way now is to make sure that the BPO is ordered quickly. Now, in order to do this, you're going to keep calling the bank every time after you've submitted the complete file, and every 2 to 3 days you'll call and make sure the file is complete, and also make sure that their BPO has been ordered. That's usually the next step that they'll have in the process. Many banks will assign a negotiator before the BPO is ordered, but nowadays it's almost, most of the time it's more common that the bank will actually order the BPO, and once the BPO is complete, then they'll assign a negotiator to the file. So this is really the only way to accelerate the process is to keep on top of the bank and know what's the next status so that you can ask for that next status in the progression of the file. Now, I use a software in my office that we created for my office on negotiating short sales, and we share it with our agents who we coach and train. And this file tracking software actually tells my negotiators what to do next. So when they get on the phone with the bank, they know to ask for the next status in the process of doing the short sale. Instead of just calling and getting an update on the file, they're calling and pushing the file forward to make sure the BPO is ordered, BPO is complete, the mitigator is assigned, that's been put in line for approval by management or submitted to the investor for approval. So all these things are built into the software to where it helps them to know each time they make the call, they're asking for the progress to move forward. Beyond that, there's not really a whole lot you can do to force a bank to accelerate the process. Even with the government programs, with HAFA, and with some of the lenders' own programs, there's not very many banks who can still process a short sale very quickly. You'll find a very rare occasion that you'll get a Wachovia loan, and those are usually done pretty quick. But for the most part, a bank will take 60 to 90 days if they're fast and if you keep on top of them. If you have any other questions about how to accelerate the process of the short sale, you can always send us a question on our main website, theshortsalegenius.com. If you'd like to continue watching videos, go ahead and click on the button down on the side of the page here. It says Watch Next Video, and continue on with the video series.